And welcome to another edition of Wolverine Chat. I am your host, Tim Raymond, and we're back with Nate today after a few weeks. And Nate's all shaking. He's had some surgery problems with his knee. Is it Achilles? Yeah. So, he's had a little rough one. He was going to go back to work next week. Got some bad news, so he's got a little time. So keep him in your prayers. But Michigan, I think, the most dominant game of the season. They've been, 31-6, 31-3, 31-7. But this one was just they scored in all quarters. 14, 21, 14. I mean, they were good defensively. Unbelievable. So total yards, Michigan had 436. Now Nebraska had 305, but minus 70 was on that last run, or not the last run. I think there was like 3 minutes to go. But just overall, Michigan had 249 rushing yards, which was nice. Corum finally got over 100 yards, although, like I was telling Nate, last week he was at 97. So the last couple of weeks he's getting it together. He's finding the holes. He's starting to pick it up. The guy I'm worried about is Donovan Edwards, as we had mentioned. He had 48 yards, 14 carries, 3.4. He's just not finding holes. That speed is not there. It's like a different offensive line when Blake is in there. They're making the holes. They're pulling. The guards are pulling better. I just don't see it. I just don't see it with Donovan. So I don't know if it's a mental thing or something. And the more it goes, I think the more it gets in his head. But this year, Michigan has been a team that has just dominated, been on rolls. Like against ECU, East Carolina, they scored the first 30 points. Against UNLV, they scored the first 35 points. Bowling Green, they scored the last 24 points. Rutgers, the last 31, and Nebraska, the first 45. So they get on a roll, Nate. They just seem to keep going. Haven't been in trouble, even really close to losing. It started out, Rutgers was a rough start. But, other than that, that's the first touchdown that the defense have given up, the first team defense all season. So, you can't really complain. I think the biggest guys, Roman Wilson's probably, in my opinion, the number one guy this year. He has just showed up. I told you when they put that number one, he was going to be a special player. 8 touchdowns, and Blake Corum's got 9 touchdowns. So you take those guys away, there's not many touchdowns. Got a couple first touchdowns. I forget the guy's name who got the last touchdown, but it was, I can tell you who it was. It was O'Leary. Got his first touchdown, so that was exciting to see. We got JJ. Well, we know JJ had 2, and then Dangle had 1 touchdown. Tuttle was okay, 3 for 4. Warren continues to struggle, which is a disappointment. I really like his story and what's going on. So they're playing Minnesota this week, but they should have no problems with that. I think that's a night game. But Nate, tell me your thoughts and what you think about Nebraska.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a complete game. I thought it was the most complete game that they've played all season. All 3 facets of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. I thought they all executed really well. I'm a little disappointed so far this season in the way they're underutilizing JJ's arm. 170 yards in this last game. I get the running game kind of stepped it up a little bit, but 170 yards for a quote-unquote potential Heisman candidate just isn't going to cut it. I feel like they're underutilizing his arm a lot, it's a good season so far. Defense is definitely improved from last year. The offense is kind of worried me a little bit the first couple games. The holes weren't there. The O-line is supposed to be the best O-line in the country back-to-back years. First couple games, they just weren't showing it. They weren't giving the running backs good holes or anything like that. Corum struggled the first couple games. Edwards is definitely struggling. He just doesn't have that explosiveness this year. But overall, it was a complete game, and I'm extremely satisfied the way they handled business on the road, and hopefully they can do that here this weekend against Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I just can't complain about JJ too much because I know they were trying to go 50-50 this year, which they are. If you look at the numbers, they are pretty damn close. But I just feel like, the Bowling Green game, he had 3 interceptions, but we're not going to go there. I don't know. I feel like he last year he had a couple more explosive plays, the Ohio State game and whatnot. TCU definitely. But I just want to see a 300-plus yard game from him at some point this season because last year he struggled to even get to the 300 benchmark passing-wise in a game. And this year he's averaging like 230, 240 or something along those lines, give or take.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad number, but his completing percentage, it's awesome. It's off the charts. His quarterback rating is off the charts. I mean, obviously, Heismans don't win you championships and whatnot. Those are just, kind of secondary things. But I would like to see his arm get utilized a little more in the passing game. More play action. I feel like that's where JJ is best at, in the play action, not under center, not in shotgun, play action. And I'd like to see them utilize the flea flicker a couple times this season because, I mean, you got Roman Wilson, you got Cornelius Johnson. Those two dudes are absolute deep threats. And, I feel like JJ is just best in the play action, and they need to try to utilize that a little bit more this season instead of there was a couple possessions where they went pass, or run, and it doesn't work because Michigan is so there's just so, how do I put it, like one-dimensional per se. But other than that, I mean, I'm pretty content with the way that the season has started, and last week's game against Nebraska was definitely a complete game, and I'm pretty satisfied.
So, are we? Is this a dilemma of being too good and expectations? Because when you're winning an average of 35-6, I mean, we're finding. Are we nitpicking, or is there real issues? What do you think?
I feel like we're probably just nitpicking a little bit. It's just me being bitchy about it, but at the same time,
well, that's you. So
yeah, exactly. I did it last year too, but. Yeah, I mean, when you got a 5-star talent in JJ and you're underutilizing his arm that he was recruited for, that's an issue.
So, it seems JJ's more, okay, take away the Rutgers game. I mean, that was just I don't know what they call it, a fluke, a one-off. He seemed in control. I love his running. I love when he runs. I love, for the most part, he gets out of bounds. He doesn't get hit. He's in control of now, Michigan seems to be, there's a lot of Heisman hype for this guy, but I think Michigan doesn't care. That's my opinion. They're trying to win. If it works out that he happens to win, that's great, but it's not their goal. I agree with you. He's got a lot more talent, and it's sad. It's sad to see him. We have somebody like this. I really think a once in a maybe lifetime, not lifetime, but a great quarterback that he could throw for 300 every game if he wanted. So I like where it's going. I'm okay with it, but it would be nice to see. And they've been more 50-50 this year. So it started out more passing, and the running was not. We weren't worried about the passing. It was all running. What's going to go on? That's happening. And as far
Harbaugh came back.
You know what? That's exactly true. When Jimmy come back, all of a sudden they're back to that running domination. And, I didn't even think about that. That's a very good point. So touche on that point. But I don't think they're going to lose the rest of the way. I'm very confident where they're going. Their defense has just been dominant. Like I said, their first team hasn't gave up a touchdown other than the one against Rutgers. It just seems it would be nice to get a shutout. I know it doesn't really matter, but at the end, it just kind of, it's like a little disappointing when you see these touchdowns or field goals. I think they did a field goal against the game you were at with, and they thought they won the Super Bowl, I swear. So, yeah, so they got Minnesota. Minnesota's been, I mean, they beat, they've been struggling. They lost to Northwestern. Who else? Let's see. They beat Louisiana, lost dominant against UNC, but UNC was 14 at the time. Eastern, they won handily. They're an okay team. I think they're better than Nebraska. You don't think so? I think Nebraska was overrated because I think Michigan thought Rutgers was the best running defense. That was their, and it kind of proved itself. I think Nebraska was number one in the nation or close to it in rushing, but they were not the best rushing defense in the nation, and Michigan easily proved that. I think Michigan will. I don't know. I think it's going to be a similar game. I'm going 45-10 on this game. I hope it's a little less because I like to keep it to a touchdown or less every game. But I'm picking 45-10. What are you looking at there, Nate?
52-7.
52-7. So what you think it's going to be a similar game plan, or what do you think is going to happen?
I think the running game puts together this week.
The running game, you think it's going to? So the passing game's going to be a little
non-existent.
Kind of.
I'm okay with. I'd like to see the running game get off to a hot start and then slowly work into the passing game.
So this is kind of a dumb question, but if we could have a Heisman winner, and you could pick it right now, Heisman winner and JJ, but lose in the finals, would you take that, or are you willing to roll that dice that we're going to win it all?
I don't care about those are just smoking guns, I feel like. I mean, it's championship or bust.
So if you take away the Heisman, if you could pick they're in the championship game, would you take that right now?
Yeah.
So, but lose, you would take a championship game.
I'd be content with it.
Yeah, me too. But it has to be the championship game. I'm just getting tired of these. I read something the other day where an MSU fan was talking about how MSU's coach. My mind's gone blank. Who is MSU's? Mel Tucker. Jeez, nice brain there, Tim. Mel Tucker. It was a better coach because he had a better bowl record than Jimmy, and I just laugh. But people forget those last two.
How do you guys feel about that now?
Yeah, exactly. And State is just falling apart. And I hear these announcers. I don't want to. What happened with Mel Tucker? I don't celebrate. It's not something to laugh at. It's going to become a joke. But he did it himself. Whether it was, I don't think. Maybe it was. I think he was set up. To be honest, it very well could have been. But to me, it doesn't matter. What he did was just horrible.
But definitely got your money's worth.
Yeah. There you go. But I'm hearing these announcers saying they're so proud of State, how they showed up and fought hard against. I mean, is that where State is now? They want to have a moral victory against Maryland or against Iowa without their first string quarterback. I mean, they're
all in for the participation trophies this year.
Yeah, and I guess what else are they going to say? But it's a problem. So you could go on, get Michigan State tickets. Before the season, they were about $340. They're going for about $80, $70 now. I mean, that's good for Michigan fans. We can get cheap tickets, but it's sad. And that place is going to be lit up with Michigan fans. So looking forward to that. Anyway, guys, we appreciate everything you did. Any last comments? Anything you want to say about the rest of the season? Anything?
No. We'll be back next week.
Okay, and probably I think next week we're going to give that jersey away, the autograph. So keep a lookout for that. You can still, all you need to do is go on YouTube and like and subscribe. Do that. You'll be in the contest for the jersey. We love you guys. Be good to somebody. God bless you. You guys have a great week, and go blue.
Go blue.